The best way to fail at indie game development is to never try, but if you never try, then it could be said that you would never actually fail, so let's assume that you do try. Here's how to fail. Boss fights are kinda cool, so of course you're gonna add one to your game. The question you need to ask yourself is, does your game even need a boss fight? And the answer is, well duh, obviously it does. A game isn't a game unless there's a boss fight. What is a boss fight? It's honestly pretty self-explanatory. A boss fight is a part of the game at the end of a level or a section where the player has to face off with a stronger opponent, a boss. And that's all it is. It's just a bigger and harder to fight enemy, thematically similar to the ones you've seen in the section they're in. You gotta put that boss fight in though, because there's really no other way to signify the end of a level or game. How else will they know? And that's really the only purpose they serve. So make your boss just a larger version of one of the generic enemies found in the level. This is a really great way to do it because then you don't have to draw or model a new enemy. You can just scale up one you already got and scale their health up even more. You want this fight to be stuff of legend, and it won't be unless it takes 20 minutes for a deathless run. So give your boss so much health that the player will wonder for the first 5 minutes if they are even doing any damage. Actually, you should just make your bosses totally immune to damage, except for a tiny window of time where the boss will do something stupid that will make it inexplicably vulnerable. Nothing will really change, except now you can hurt it for some reason. This tiny window of vulnerability should be just long enough that the player can get one attack in, and then think they could get one more in, but the window closes right after they commit, causing them to be in range of damage. Also, this tiny window of vulnerability should only happen when the player is starting to fall asleep from waiting, because the only thing that they can do is run around dodging attacks. I mean, we wouldn't want the player to feel like they actually have any choices or strategies. Nope, all they need is reflexes. Now, when the boss fight is over, make your boss change into its true form and the real fight begins. But of course, the second stage of the fight is just going to be the first one, but now there's also extra fireballs or some other stupid thing like that. Now, you want the player to feel rewarded, so right before they deliver the finishing blow, fade out to a cutscene, in which the boss will shed its artificial lair, revealing it was your nemesis the whole time. This third stage of the boss fight is just like the first two, except now there's like even more attacks that you have to dodge, which makes you think like, why didn't they just start with all the attacks? Like, if they're trying to actually beat you, why not just start with everything they got? But let's not worry about that. Instead, let's worry about making sure that you keep this pattern up for the next few hours. Your efforts shouldn't be in making a boss fight fun, but just in different ways to artificially extend the length of the boss fight. Also, you want the fight to be balanced, so make sure any damage dealt by the boss is an insta-kill, forcing the player to rewatch the unskippable 10-minute cutscene and have to play the whole level from the beginning before they can try again. But don't worry about that, we know the player enjoys doing the same thing over and over and over again because that's how the boss fight itself is structured anyway. They must like it. Now, some consideration should be given to the space the fight will take place in. This part can be a little bit difficult and a lot of people really mess this up, so pay close attention. Make it a big empty room. I know, you hadn't really considered the location of the boss fight, but don't worry, now you won't accidentally create a space that contributes to the player's choices and strategies, or that encourages use of your game's unique mechanic that you don't have. Instead, just make it a big empty room. It's so much easier. After the boss is finally beaten, then at last you'll get to the final stage. Then once you get past that, for the rest of the game, reuse all that work and just add the boss as a normal enemy. This will serve two purposes. One, you can continue to be lazy. And two, because it's, yeah, never mind. There's really only one purpose. Remember, when it comes to boss fights, there's no other way to bring a climactic ending to a level or game. Sure, there's the potential that you'll figure out that the main purpose of a boss fight is to have an ultimate final test of a player's new skills and realize that the best way to do that could possibly not even include a boss fight at all. But I mean, you could also figure out how to make a game where the player will care enough to actually play all the way to the end. So I'm really not that worried. And if you follow these instructions carefully, you are bound to succeed at failure. Hey, thanks for watching. I'd like to point out that it's not about the bosses we've killed. It's about the friends we made along the— actually no, if you're playing Elden Ring, it's 100% about the bosses. Yeah, you need to put a boss in your game. I don't care who you are. I don't care what kind of game you got. Put a boss in there. What, Tetris? You think you're special? Where's the boss, huh? Where's the boss? Like even Portal has a boss fight. Come on. Put a boss in your game.